Good afternoon, good evening, Niner faithful. Welcome to another episode of the 49ers Live Mailbag. I am back here in the home studio. It feels good to be back, and I already miss Indianapolis. It was a hell of a week at the Combine. I truly enjoyed myself. I have to give a special shout out to those individuals that I spent the week with. Jason Aponte, Jordan Elliott, and Brad of the SF Niners. Just such a phenomenal week in getting to know those individuals, in spending time with them, in talking Niners. It was a phenomenal experience overall. And I just wanted to put that out there. I truly enjoyed being a part of the Combine. Some of the questions in today's mailbag are about that, so I won't jump the gun too much. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the live mailbag format, here's how it goes down. There are people who have previously submitted questions that came in either via 49ersmailbag@gmail.com, where you can always reach me, or through Twitter. A lot of today's questions came in through Twitter. But for those of you that are here live, all you need to do is put that question into the chat. I do ask that you do me a favor in that regard and type in @Rob or @RobShoe so that I know you're asking your question to me and not just having a conversation with others in the chat. There were folks that were in here early, and I got to get to them first and foremost before I hit the previously submitted questions. Charles Thurman, one of our sneakerheads on the channel, coming in. Hey, Rob, I'm a sneakerhead and enjoy your show. I think, though, if we beef up our offensive line and let the kid just play, we will be fine. I tend to agree with that. I think that you already have a number of weapons at the skill positions. If you can beef up the offensive line, and part of beefing it up is, to me, the return of Laken Tomlinson. But if you can bring Laken back, it already seems that Alex Mack is going to return at center. You can upgrade that right guard and ensure you have something in place at right tackle to back up Mike McGlinchey in case that injury is a lingerer. Yes, I agree. Let the kid play. The Niners should be fine. Charles Thurman coming back in to say, trade Jimmy G for a cornerback and move on from him. You are 1,000% correct in that the Niners need to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo. I found it pretty remarkable that in a candid conversation with Matt Mayoko there at the Combine, that he was not shy in saying that it would seem almost absurd to have a scenario in which Jimmy Garoppolo returned to the 49ers next year. And it's a simple case, nothing to do with talent, nothing to do with the locker room, a simple case of what's the bottom line? How many cap dollars do the Niners have available to them? And how much does Jimmy Garoppolo's salary eat up of that money? So it was purely a logical standpoint of the 49ers cannot afford to keep Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster. I agree with that wholeheartedly. If you can ship him out for a cornerback in return, that to me is a reasonable choice, almost on par with bringing in a draft pick. The advantage of a draft pick is that is a cost-controlled player. Depending on where in their contract that cornerback you're referring to is, it could be a more expensive option. Ellis 10, another sneakerhead on the channel. What's up, Rob? Looking forward to the stream. Such great news today. LOL. What news? Was there news in the NFL today? Did we have any breaking quarterback news? Yes, we most certainly did. And we are going to get to that news first and foremost in the previously submitted questions. Don't doubt it. 420 Savage coming in. Russell Wilson, probably the best quarterback in the NFL with Mahomes. Seattle will suck for the next 2 decades. Party time. Excellent. Wayne's World reference. Party time. Excellent. Yes, that is a big move, and we will get to that. That is the first question we're tackling. Kurt coming in, another sneakerhead. Rob, 16-4, no more. Lance immediately helped by not having a formidable Seattle game. I was so thrilled that Lance didn't get into the action when playing in Seattle because I didn't want his experience playing up in the Pacific Northwest to be tainted by that game, and it wasn't. Now he comes in fresh. There's no overarching, lingering feeling of Russell Wilson and what he has done to this team. I'm telling you, it is a positive thing. Raphael 562 Niners, another sneakerhead on the channel coming in to say what's up to me and to everyone. I appreciate it. The Golden Fang is late. That is unacceptable. I'm kidding. You're here now. That's all that matters. For those of you that are here now, if you enjoy the content, help me out. Hit that like button. As the young kids say, smash that like button. Debo that like button. All right, that Niner guy, one of our sneakerheads coming in, an insightful dude. Rob, what's up, buddy? Did you hear anything about the Russ trade before it happened? I mean, I heard rumblings of it, but no, I was caught off guard by this. I did not hear anything at the combine, and we did hear some behind the scenes, couldn't share it, rumors at the combine. I heard nothing about the Russell Wilson trade. As a matter of fact, I was sitting 12 feet away from Pete Carroll, and I couldn't tell why he had such a big grin on his face. But maybe, just maybe, it was because he knew he had this just swath of picks coming his way. Rob Smith, sneakerhead here on the channel, coming in at Rob Shoe. My man, glad you had a great time in Indy. Rob, it was phenomenal. I mean, it was an amazing experience that I will never forget. Raul coming in, J.C. Jackson. There's a story linking the San Francisco 49ers to J.C. Jackson. And I'm not going to discount the story. I think there's every possibility that the Niners are kicking the tires on J.C. Jackson, but I assume the man is going to get paid $20 million plus per year, and the 49ers just do not have that type of cap room. I would be flabbergasted if the Niners were able to work a deal for J.C. Jackson. That said, I would absolutely be on board for it. All right, I do want to get into a previously submitted question because I see a couple of folks referencing it. Hold on, I'm going to get to this one because it's a relevant question. Luke asking, Rob Shoe, Matt Mayoko or Matt Barrows? It was Matt Mayoko. Mayoko was there. Matt Barrows was not. I really want to get in touch with Matt Barrows. Matt, if you're watching, reach out to me. Matt's my favorite beat writer, Matt Barrows. No offense to Matt Mayoko. He's my second favorite beat writer. But Matt Barrows' sense of humor just gets to me at just the right level. All right, getting into that first previously submitted question here. What's bigger news to you? Rodgers staying in Green Bay or Wilson getting traded to the Broncos? This coming in from George. I have to say first and foremost that both of these are big news. Both of these impact the 49ers pretty significantly. The Rodgers trade, it eliminates any speculation of Rodgers coming to San Francisco. That was on a lot of people's minds as to, hey, is there any chance he comes here? And some had worked out robust theories as to why it made sense for Rodgers to end up in San Francisco. That speculation is dead and gone now. And it does not get him out of the division as we may have hoped. Aaron Rodgers does not join the laundry list of talented quarterbacks that head up the AFC. But it does have him staying on a team that we have shown categorically that we can beat in the playoffs. So, yes, he's still in the NFC. Yes, he's still in a very talented Green Bay team. Yes, it's possible that if the Niners are going to make a deep run into the playoffs, they're going to have to go through Rodgers, going to have to go through Green Bay. But the 49ers have shown that they can do just that. So if there were one of the two that were going to stay put, I would have chosen Rodgers. The Wilson trade to me is the bigger news of the two. Admittedly, though, I thought there was no way. I thought there was absolutely no way this one was actually going to happen. I just assumed that, Wilson has made this noise about getting out of Seattle, but that there's no way you get rid of a quarterback like Russell Wilson, that no matter how many draft picks get offered to you, you build your franchise around that type of a player, especially when he's so liked within the locker room, so liked within the community, such a household name. He's a top 5, top 6 quarterback in the league, throws the prettiest deep ball I have ever seen. To me, this is a strange move. And I do think there's a chance, as our earlier commenter said, that Seattle severely regrets making this decision. They have shown an ability to waste some draft picks. And if you bring in a considerable haul for Russell Wilson, but then proceed to waste those draft picks on players that don't pan out, all of a sudden you may really, really regret that decision. So again, which one's bigger news? I think it's the trade that actually happened and not the one that could have happened but didn't. Huge compensation from the Broncos to the Seahawks. You got Drew Lock headed back, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a 5th. Come on, if all of that was thrown out there for a quarterback, I get that Jimmy Garoppolo is in no way in the same conversation as Russell Wilson. Not even close. And when you look at 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a 5th, Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, could we please get a second rounder for Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, there are some pieces not moving in the quarterback puzzle. So now it's a bunch of teams vying for just a couple of players out there. I'm hoping this means we can get a second rounder for Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, let's look at Noah Fant was a first round talent, still borderline. Like that, to me, Denver gave up quite a bit. And if Seattle makes good use of these picks, it is a haul. It is absolutely a haul. But I'm just not convinced Seattle's going to do all that much with the draft compensation. I will acknowledge it's a lot of ammo. The question is, and somebody already brought this into the comments, is do they go after Deshaun Watson now? That's the question for me. And I saw that coming in here. Drew came in with that same thought. At Rob Shue, do you think that Seattle is suiting up to trade for Deshaun Watson? They certainly have the ammunition to do it right now. They could pick up Deshaun Watson, get younger at the quarterback position, and have accrued some serious draft picks because you're not giving up all of what you just got from Denver to trade for Deshaun. If Seattle can convince their fan base that Deshaun Watson, either wasn't guilty of those things that he's been accused of or that it's somehow overblown, if they can sell that to their fan base, this would be a huge move for them. I truly hope they are unable to get that deal done. If Deshaun Watson goes to Seattle, man, that would take the wind out of my sails that I'm currently feeling from Russell Wilson headed to Denver. That's for sure. George coming in at Rob Shue. Glad you're back, my man. The combine looked like a blast. Can't wait to hear some stories of your week. I appreciate that, George. And I've got one of your questions coming up here at the end of the show, I believe. George, do I have your question? I'm looking at it right now. I was pretty sure that I had seen yours. Oh, George, your question was the first one. That was the one that I just put up. Yes, we got George's question in there immediately. Appreciate you submitting it, George. BZE. It's a great day. Seattle is falling apart. I mean, they may have just accrued enough stuff to get themselves back to relevance. But yes, Wilson is no longer. And that in and of itself is a glorious thing. We are in lockstep on that. Leo, one of our sneakerheads, coming in with the super chat. I'm sitting happy with the day's news. We invested too much in Trey to have him sit for another 1 to 2 years. Play the kid. Also fine with a Jimmy drop. Hey, I am completely on board with playing the kid, Leo. It is Trey time. Trey season. Let's get this freaking thing going. The Jimmy drop, though, I can't get on board with that. There has to be somebody out there who is willing to give us the compensation for Jimmy Garoppolo. Someone who says to themselves, no, we don't want to wait until he has been cut and have zero chance of locking it down. We have to get into a bidding war. But I understand the logic that teams may feel if the Niners are backed into a corner and have to cut him, why give up any draft assets for that? I don't think that's going to be the case. I believe the Niners will get draft compensation for Jimmy Garoppolo. Let's get back into some of those previously submitted questions here. Mike coming in. Did the Wilson trade help or hurt the Niners' chances of acquiring a first or second round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo? All right. I think it helped because It set an incredibly high bar for what the trade compensation could be for a very talented quarterback. Now, again, we're not comparing Jimmy Garoppolo and his trade value to Russell Wilson, but you had Russell Wilson's trade come in at such an astronomical price that a second rounder pales in comparison to that. It also, because you had Aaron Rodgers stay put, there are fewer quarterbacks in play. So you got the one going to Denver. You still have a bunch of quarterback needy teams and very few quarterbacks out there. I think it helps the 49ers get that second rounder that they need from either Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, or Washington. Those are the three teams for me that are prime contenders to come in and trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. BK from the Bay at Rob Shue. Do you think they hold out and trade Jimmy or cut if they trade? What kind of pick can we get? So I think they trade Jimmy. They will cut him if we get to the end of the league year and they're unable to move him. They have to get him off the books. One way or the other, Jimmy will be gone. V Breezy coming in at Rob Shue. Just wanted to say thank you for making SF traffic so much easier to get through. Thank you for all you do for us faithful. V Breezy, I am glad that I can help you in that rush hour nonsense that you are sitting in. Back when I used to sit on the 101, the traffic was significantly lighter. Paul Perryman coming in at Rob Shue. Saw you on Splash Cousin and NFL Network in the corner of the end zone. Look at you all kind of famous. Paul, can you send me a screenshot of that to 49ers mailbag at gmail.com? I wondered if I made the broadcast. We were right behind the 40. That was phenomenal. If I am on the big screen, please send me a screenshot of that. That would be phenomenal. Love it. Ricardo, the big news. Sutherland, let's go. Yeah, we signed a backup guard from Cincinnati. The big news of the day for sure. Overshadowing the Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers news. You know, it pales in comparison. Why talk about quarterbacks when you can talk about backup offensive linemen? Let's go. Stivers, 209 football. Shout out to the 209. 49ers will beat Seattle twice next year. No more Russell Wilson. Here's hoping. Fazil, Rob, Russell Wilson is out of our division. Yes, Fazil is excited about that and thinks I'm the GOAT. I love that. 49er Media, hello. Hello indeed. Fazil, what a day to be a Niners fan. All right, Jan coming in at Rob. Does that mean Seattle going after Malik Willis? It will be interesting to see if Seattle approaches a draft strategy or goes after someone like Deshaun Watson. 49er Gang 916 at Rob. A glorious day indeed. The boogeyman is gone. Man, it is wild to watch as 49er fans celebrate Wilson. The Wicked Witch is dead. Headed to Denver. Raphael 5629ers, a sneakerhead here on the channel. At Rob, with all this quarterback talk, do you see Garoppolo getting traded before the 16th of March? Yes, I think we will hear about it absolutely in the next week, because remember, the legal tampering period starts on the 14th. So that's when we'll start to actually get terms of trades and terms of deals that are going to get struck on 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the 16th. The Niners must get below the salary cap. Must. It is a hard cap. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They must get below that hard cap before the start of the league year, which again is 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on March 16th. They can get under the cap by restructuring a couple more deals. They could do that. The most viable way to get under the cap is the trade or release of Jimmy Garoppolo. I anticipate a trade, wholeheartedly anticipate a trade. But yes, that must happen prior to the 16th. And they cannot then go over the cap after that either. Melvin Creditford coming in at Rob. Do you think the Rodgers and Wilson's deals will tank Jimmy's hope of being cut? Because now he's worth getting in a trade for a second or third round pick. I never thought it was possible that Jimmy got cut. I think that is just people getting too close to the situation and attributing their own emotion in the painful losses that we have suffered while Jimmy was the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. I don't think front offices ever thought they were going to get Jimmy Garoppolo for free. I think it was always going to be in a trade. All right, I'm getting over to a previously submitted question before I come back into your comments. Again, if you want to get your question answered live, throw it in there, type in at Rob or at Rob Shue, so I know you're talking to me. All right. What was your favorite part of attending the Combine live? Thanks again for the great footage. Coming in from Johnny Ellis 10. Johnny, I appreciate the question. This was an intriguing one. I had no idea what to expect when going into the Combine. I had no idea what it was going to look like, what it was going to feel like, what kind of access I was going to get, what kind of treatment I was going to get. And it was first class across the board. My tip of the cap to the frickin' NFL for the event that they put on there. My tip of the cap to Indianapolis, the city itself, for putting on the event. And my word of advice to the NFL, as someone who has just experienced the Combine in Indy for the first time, don't frickin' mess with a good thing, NFL. Keep the Combine in Indy. Every local person that we spoke to there was so complimentary of that week. It meant so much to them to have the Combine there. It was a source of pride. Everything was so close together. You got all the hotels in close proximity to the stadium. You have an underground passage from the stadium, Lucas Oil Stadium, underneath into the convention center. The convention center is freaking ginormous. You're walking for miles. I didn't bring my Apple Watch, but I'm guessing that I walked 10 miles a day every day of the Combine, because it was a freaking mile from the hotel to the Combine and then a mile from the Combine to the freaking media room. But it was perfect. It was lovely. I was absolutely thrilled. So what was my biggest takeaway from it? I don't mean this term in the masculine way, but I couldn't come up with another term that expresses it in the same fashion. So I'm going to use this term, even though it's limiting. I don't mean it to be masculine facing. But to me, it was seeing the NFL from a whole another side. It was this flip side, the NFL and media fraternity that I felt like I was a part of in being there at that event. Again, I don't mean that to mean it was a masculine energy. It was both men and women at the event, but it was that brotherhood feeling when you went in there. Coaches, media members were totally accessible and completely friendly towards one another, completely friendly towards nobodies like me. I mean, I'm sitting there with Jason Aponte and Jordan Elliott, and John Harbaugh walks down the hall, looks over at us. We don't say a word to him. And John Harbaugh says to the three of us, man, looks like you guys are pretty dug in there. And then just, keeps the little banter going. We're in the frickin' metal detector line. Who's in front of us? Mike McDaniel, about to go on for his presser, but he's bantering back and forth with us, talking about, we're dressed up in our sports coats. He's like, hey, man, you guys going on next after me? Like, are you guys speaking at this event too? He was just dope. And everybody had that type of attitude. It was phenomenal. In other circumstances, you see these types of people, you see these famous people, and they're a bit more standoffish. That was not the case at the Combine. They were totally welcoming in this instance. Again, the conversations with coaches, media members, the John Harbaugh experience, the Mike McDaniel experience, shooting the breeze and talking about cigars with John frickin' Randall, a Hall of Fame talent. We walk up to take a seat at the Combine. There's a dude chomping on a cigar. I mean, chomping on that thing. And we get to talking about frickin' Padron Stogies. He directs me to Burn, the Rocky Patel Cigar Lounge. We had a phenomenal night there. Again, it was just a complete experience, getting the straight dope. I mean, straight dope from Maurice Jones-Drew, Robert Griffin III, just talking off the camera, off the record, with these very candid conversations of just two dudes talking football. Really phenomenal. Peter Schrager, Ian Rappaport, being extremely kind, approachable, taking time out of their schedule. They were running around like freaking chickens with their heads cut off. And yet, when you saw someone from the media, someone they clearly didn't know, but approached them to say hello, they stopped, they engaged. I really was struck by that. To me, it was a phenomenal experience all the way around. Absolutely all the way around. Coming back in, Luke Walsh, gotta agree, Barrows is so funny. The dry humor, it just gets me. It just gets me. Charles Thurman doing the good work. Like and subscribe. If you do enjoy the content, please consider hitting the little like button down below. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications bell. Turn on your YouTube notifications. That way you know when this dude is going live, because it helps me amplify my signal and get it further out there. All right, Richard coming in at Rob. Wilson being traded, Rodgers staying in place. The dominoes have fallen to help move on from Garoppolo. The time is now. The kids' time is now. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Richard, you took the words right out of my mouth, and you said it very well. Jan coming in. This was a Herschel Walker type trade. It really felt that way. I mean, this is big. You got to wonder if the Seahawks are going to be able to capitalize on all that ammunition they just got. Callie Young, Rob, with the two dominoes falling today in the quarterback market, what are your expectations on what we could possibly get for Garoppolo? By the way, great job at the combine. Salute. Thank you, Callie. So here's my deal. Back in November, I started to predict that we would get a second and a fourth for Jimmy Garoppolo. And I stayed true to that until the news of the shoulder surgery came out at the combine. And I started to second guess myself. I started to say, man, this has to impact trade value. I am now going back on that. I think it was further smoke. Could it affect the value? Yes. I had let it get me to the point where I said, okay, I'm backing off my expectations to a third round pick. I since have reconsidered and decided, no, the surgery news, front offices already knew that. They already knew the likelihood of needing surgery. They already knew that it was the type of surgery that is very common and common in its success rate. So I don't think that actually impacted it. I'm going back to the original assertion, a second and a fourth, a second and a fourth. And I feel better about that after the haul that the frickin' Denver Broncos just gave up, albeit for an elite quarterback, but nevertheless, they gave up an amazing amount. Luke Walsh, a watched kettle never boils. A frequently checked Twitter feed never results in a Jimmy Garoppolo trade. In that case, there is no trade happening because we are all checking Twitter with a fervor. Luke, let me tell you, Felipe at Rob, I was wrong. But Russ has said he was staying. I didn't think it was going to happen either. Crazy. Neither did I. I thought, hey, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. He fooled me once. And so I thought, no, I won't believe it till I see it. Well, we have now seen it, ladies and gentlemen. Russell Wilson is no longer in the NFC West. He is no longer in the NFC. Melvin Crediford coming in. Richard David. Indeed. Rob Smith, I'd be very happy with a second for Jimmy G. Yes, and I don't think it's unreasonable. I really don't. That Niner guy coming in, he was pretty convincing that he was not getting traded. He tricked me too. Russell Wilson is sneaky like that. Ben, this is the question. Will Seattle trade for Watson? I think it's entirely possible. With everything they just got in, I think it is entirely possible that they bring in Deshaun Watson. That would be a bit of a disappointment. James Schaefer, the newest sneakerhead here on the channel. I appreciate you joining in support of what we do here. I'm going to comb through the comments. I'm going to try to catch up a little bit. So if I miss your comment, feel free to copy and paste it back in. But I'm catching up right now, so don't copy and paste it too many times. That Niner guy, at Rob Shue, going to be honest, felt like the Broncos did not give up a ton. Fant is always hurt, and 2 years of ones and 2 twos on a really young team really is not bad. They won the trade big. I mildly disagree with that. I think it's a reasonable price given up for Russell Wilson. I'm a bigger Noah Fant fan, although I agree he has been injured early on in his career. And you're looking at, Russell Wilson. I could make the case for Denver winning the trade as well. I wanted to say initially, that's a hell of a lot to give up. But when you look at it from getting one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, quite honestly, you got to give up a lot to get a quarterback like that. I would say I don't see it as lopsided one way or the other. It's hard to say that one team won the trade or lost the trade until you know what they do with those draft picks. And Seattle has not always been great at some of those. Jan coming in at Rob. Seattle will get Malik Willis and a few other needs. I'll be interested to see if they go the rookie route. That would send the very, very clear message that they are rebuilding and not just reloading. If they go after, Deshaun Watson, they could very quickly be back in the conversation. Jake B, how's it going, Rob? Imagine if the Seahawks somehow get Kirk Cousins. I tell you, if they get Kirk Cousins or Deshaun Watson, I will not be happy with this move. I am currently in relief that Russell Wilson is gone. Don't do this to me. Don't bring in somebody quality. Let them get a rookie. Let them rebuild for a while. Pete Carroll, take your time, buddy. Take your time. Raphael 562 Niners doing the good deed. Like and subscribe, everyone. Cheers, Raphael. Appreciate that. Ben V with an interesting observation. Pete Carroll has never really cared about player character, so a Watson trade could be right up his alley. I can't go through individually and really criticize all of the player personnel issues, but simply bringing in someone like a Josh Gordon, who, again, that was just a marijuana failed test, and so I don't really look at that as a huge red flag. But some teams did, and they were willing to bring in a character like that. So, yeah, I could see them trying to bring in Deshaun Watson, and that price seems to be pretty inexpensive for the talent that you're getting. Luke Walsh at Rob Shue. When will Jimmy get traded? Before March 16th, draft day? Before March 14th. I think we will hear about it in the next 6 days. The next 6 days, ladies and gentlemen. Keep refreshing that Twitter feed. That watched pot will not boil. Bullpup 33, one of our sneakerheads at Rob. This trade exponentially increases the trade value. I'm telling you, the market is hot right now. Ian Sharp won't be the Colts. Ian, I heard some slightly insider info that contradicts what you're saying there. I'm not sourcing it. I'm not saying it's confirmed. I just want to say I'm throwing it out there. I have heard Indy as a landing spot. Brian Culp at Rob. Ding dong, the witch in the Emerald City is gone. The wicked witch is dead. Yes. Rob Smith, I'm still holding out hope that the 49ers get pick 11 from Washington. I do not have hope for that, but man, that would be sweet. Ramon coming in, three-way trade with the Colts, getting Jimmy, Wentz going to Washington, SF gets pick from Washington, and player from the Colts. I love the creativity of that. And again, keep your eye on Indy. I do think there's a chance. All right, I'm getting back into some of the previously submitted questions. I will be back into the chat. Again, type in the @Rob or @RobShoe. All right, here we go. Did you see Punt God coming in from Pro Beach Soccer Worldwide? Admittedly, there was only one thing I missed, and it was the morning of the place kickers and punters with their specific drills. I watched the Punt God run his 40, but I did not see Matt Araiza kick his freaking 80-yard punt in warm-ups, but I did hear about it as we walked into the building. It rolled down to the one. I mean, unbelievable, right? Too bad we already spent a fourth rounder on a punter. I don't think Mitch Wishnowsky is going anywhere. There's just no shot that we take this individual. I don't think, but this strikes me as a punter who will go in the fourth round, maybe even in the third round. And that's wild to believe that you could see a punter in the third. I don't think the Niners pull the trigger, but it'll be interesting to watch. All right, here's some of my favorites. Nikoya's Finest with a great question. What are your top 5 favorite players at the Combine? Offensive positions. This one threw me because I looked at a lot of edge rushers. This is out of order, but I will say that this dude really impressed me. And if I were going in order, I would probably put him first as well. Cole Strange. I love the interview with him, the presser. Loved his soft-spoken nature, but how he talked about playing nasty, putting his elbow on somebody's neck, and how that was accepted within the NFL. And he was delighted by that. He's a potential day 2, maybe a day 3 pick. He was a day 3 pick after his numbers. I think he's a day 2 guy. He put up incredible numbers all the way around. A 5.03 40-yard dash, a 1.73 10-yard split, registered a 7.44 3-cone, 4.5 shuttle, 28-inch vertical, 120-inch broad jump, 31 bench repetitions. All those numbers, except for that vertical, were in the 90th percentile. 90th percentile. I just got a great vibe from him in the presser. He and I had a good vibe going when I was asking him questions and he was answering it. I am in all of my mocks. I will be planning around where I need to take Cole Strange for him to end up on the San Francisco 49ers. In running the drills, he was wearing the number 49. Is there any other sign that we need, ladies and gentlemen? Offensive lineman number 49, Cole Strange. Get his ass to the Niners. Next one that I was impressed by, Christian Watson. Christian frickin' Watson. I know it's probably a pipe dream, but he checked all the boxes for me. He looked like a pro, he sounded like a pro, and he tested like a frickin' pro. He was off the charts at Indy as well. 4.36 40-yard dash, 38.5-inch vertical, 11 foot 4-inch broad jump. Again, the combination of speed, explosion, and size for a guy who is 6'4", almost 210 pounds with 32.5-inch arms, over 10-inch hands. I mean, the guy, if he is there at pick 61, I would be hard-pressed not to want the San Francisco 49ers to pick him up and pair him with Trey Lance. The next one that caught my eye was a tight end, and I wasn't even scouting tight ends, but Jelani Woods out of Virginia. I caught him doing the most bench press reps for a tight end, 24 reps by Jelani, and after that, I had my eye on him. Then you saw the second fastest 40-yard dash among tight ends, a 4.61, which is the fastest by a tight end that is as tall as he is since 2003. He is 6'7", 260 pounds, and the man ran a 4.6 40. He was originally a fifth-round projection. After the strength and the speed showing off in this one, he did have some drops, and that was a problem for him in college as well. He was one of the fourth worst tight ends in drops. I think it was 7.5% of his targets ended up as drops. He reminded me a little bit in the way in which he tried to catch deep passes of Vernon Davis, the way in which he kind of put his chest out and then tried to trap the ball to the chest. Very reminiscent of early Vernon Davis. Obviously doesn't have the speed or athleticism of Vernon, but to me, a potential number 2 tight end that the Niners could grab early 5th, late 4th round. I got my eye on him. Velus Jones out of Tennessee is another one, the 4th member that I got my eye on from the offensive side. This is someone who could be a number 4 speed wide receiver, and most importantly, a frickin' return specialist. 4.31 40-yard time. He's got return skills, according to Mel Kiper Jr., the 5th best returner in the class. Dude recorded 1,026 yards and a touchdown on 41 kick return attempts, 272 yards on 18 punt return attempts. And not only did he run a 4.3 40, but Recruiting Analytics, a sport tech company, clocked him at the top speed of 24.6 miles per hour, the fastest among wide receivers. That is faster than Raheem Mostert has been clocked. A wild mile per hour clockage. He was a day 3 projection. Is he now a late 2nd, an early 3rd round player? We may miss out on him because of that testing. But you also have another speed wide receiver who I've got my eye on after that, just minus the return skills, but you can get him later on. Tyquan Thornton out of Baylor. Speed wide receiver without the kick return skills, can be had later on than Velus Jones. 6'3", 4.3 speed, but he is lanky. And so you got to wonder if he can get off the line with NFL cornerbacks. All right, let's get back into your comments before we close out on the final previously submitted question. All right, looking for those at Rob Shoe comments. Niner faithful coming in. At Rob, no more Russ. Life is good in Niner land. 2 more wins added to our record. Yeah, I'm bumping up my prediction to 12 wins on the season because I had it at 11. If Russ is out, I'm adding another win. Bullpup 33 at Rob, no more conditional picks in next year. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but are you saying that the NFL is changing that strategy or that the Niners just won't get any? Drew, at Rob, the funny thing is we still face Russell Wilson this year. I believe we still have one more year of him. Hey, I'll take him in Denver over him in Seattle, that's for sure. All right, sorry about that. Tom Jensen coming in at Rob. Matt Miller of NFL Draft Scout says the Seahawks love Malik Willis. Question, is if Willis lasts to 9? Hey, I would love for Seattle to take a rookie quarterback. Would love it. Steve Avia, another sneakerhead. At Rob, my wife and I are so glad Dangerous Russ is gone, LOL. But we also have mad respect for the player that he is and what he's done in our division for so long. He's a good dude. God bless and salute. Amen to that, Steve. Well said. He deserves the respect as he heads out. Callie Young, how was the food in Indy? It was phenomenal. Man, had some really, really great food. A couple of spots that stood out. Did St. Elmo had a bone-in ribeye steak. It was phenomenal. Mark was our server there. Great dude. He worked there for 19 years. Was he the most tenured server there? No, he was the 5th most tenured server there. Dude's been there 19 years. It took him until year 18 to finally get Sundays off. It's crazy to me that you have so many people working for so long in that restaurant. The restaurant has been there for 102 freaking years. And I'm so glad that I went there and had a steak at St. Elmo. Absolutely loved the Eagle for their fried chicken. That was dope. Went down to Mass Ave. That was great. And then there was, I believe it was Pier 48 was the other one, was a seafood place that we went to on the last night. Phenomenal as well. Had some crab beignets that were delicious. A wonderful hot buttered lobster roll as well. Let me tell you, that seafood came in fresh to Indy. Yes, I know it's landlocked, but that doesn't matter when you're flying in fresh seafood. It really doesn't. Paul Perryman. All right, at Rob Shoe, why not restructure several other players to get under the cap? Hold on to Jimmy past the deadline, trade him wherever we want, and have a handshake deal with free agents and sign them that day. You could restructure Jimmy Garoppolo's contract. You could restructure other players' contracts. I didn't mean to imply earlier that you only have those options. I think those are the only viable options. I don't think the Niners necessarily want to commit themselves to all of these players with restructures. Every time you restructure a deal, that's less flexibility than you have going forward. But yes, the Niners do have some flexibility. They do not have to cut Jimmy Garoppolo prior to that March 16th at 1 p.m. At Rob Shoe, did you get the shrimp cocktail? Tony, yes, I did. Let me tell you. All right, Tony comes in with a relevant question for St. Elmo's. They have this world-famous shrimp cocktail. Man, I had it, and it hit me. It is so much horseradish. It punches you in the face. It was phenomenal. Also, do you think we should hold our breath that the Niners will pursue Harold Landry? I don't have any inside info on the last piece, Tony. I will look into it, though. 49 Glory at Rob. Nah. Hey. Goodbye. Easy playoff road for the next few years. I don't know about that, but I will bid farewell. And a happy trails to Russell Wilson. We've got a random compliment coming in. I always love those. Terror Dome, great job at the Combine shoot. Thank you very much. Let's go. I heard Maurice Jones-Drew didn't have nice things to say about Sermon. He did not. And he did not bite his tongue either. Not at all. Terror Dome, Shoe, how does RG3 really feel about Shanahan? That's the one question that we didn't put out there. That would have been really uncomfortable. I still wish I had done it, but we didn't. It was going well, and it felt like that would take the conversation off the rails, and so we didn't go that route with the conversation. Talked about Trey Lance, though, and he is optimistic about Trey Lance. Dr. Jaspreet coming in at Rob Shoe. Which rookie quarterback would you rather see in Seattle? Quite honestly, because I don't think the Niners are going to be looking at quarterbacks, I've not done my due diligence on quarterbacks. I have attempted to dive in to every position I believe the Niners will be looking at. So I can't honestly say where Seattle will go, but I hope they go the rookie route. I hope they don't trade for one of the available veteran quarterbacks that would keep them relevant right away. I want Seattle to be out of the mix. Here we go. Abel at Rob, don't think Seattle goes for Watson. Time to rebuild. I hope. That's what I hope. That's what I hope. Martin at Rob, you didn't do a video for our new quarterback coach. I was expecting you to do so. I love the move. I don't have a real firm opinion on Brian Griese yet. I'm still digging into it. I'm a little nervous at the simple fact that he's not coached before, that he's not an elite quarterback coming in. I understand that you do not need to be an elite quarterback in order to be a quarterback coach. I understand that you do not need to have coached before, but I do think that there are enough unknowns about this that I am skeptical. I want to see how this turns out. And quite honestly, I was expecting to put out a lot more content while in Indy. I did not realize how exhaustive that schedule was going to be. It was interviews starting at 8 a.m., and combine activities go until 11 p.m. 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then you were just exhausted by the end. So I attempted to soak it all in. I'm still combing through the footage I got from the week. It was wild. Manny, 1661, sneakerhead here on the channel. At Rob Shoe, love the show. Love your energy. Niner fan since 88. No more Russ. Works for our young quarterback. Yes, it does. And thank you, Manny. Appreciate the support. Absolutely do. Eric Sully at Rob Shoe. Big W today for the Niners. Jimmy's value is just going up. I think it is. I really do think that the Seahawks gave up that the Seahawks got enough in that trade that now a second doesn't look all that big. Jan pointing out at Rob, Pete Carroll may be on his way out as well. He didn't look like a guy who was scared for his job. Not at all, but maybe he's just that confident. All right, Dr. Jaspreet coming in again at Rob Shoe. Predict our wide receiver depth. I mean, we only have 2 on the roster right now in Ayuk and Debo. I definitely think we bring in Jawan Jennings. My guess is that we go with a couple of mid-grade free agents and then draft 2 guys to fill out the room. My guess is that we have 7 guys competing for 6 spots. My hope is that we bring in one of the speed guys I mentioned, Velus Jones, although now I believe he's going to go too high. Tyquan Thornton out of Baylor could be the other one. I do think that you bring in a speed wide receiver, you bring in a return man. If you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone on that one, I'm all for it. And then you've got to just bring in some bodies to fill out the room. You could certainly see Mohamed Sanu coming back, or a Mohamed Sanu type where it's a bigger bodied wide receiver. But I do think that the 49ers will be exploring a lot of possibilities. Rob Smith at Rob Shoe. What are your thoughts on the 49ers new quarterbacks coach, Brian Griese? Just got through talking about that one. Again, I'm not real passionate one way or the other. It doesn't excite me, but I trust Kyle Shanahan and his ability to pick and develop coaches. He has not let us down so far. I don't know why I should assume any differently now. Bullpup 33. Rob, did we, the Trey trade, inspire the trade? I bet there was a reference to the Trey trade at some point. There was a lot of talk about Trey at the Combine. Everyone that I spoke to or overheard talking about Trey was positive. Love it. William Bennett with the super chat. William, sorry I missed this when it came in. My guy, welcome back. Can't wait for a roundtable. Me neither. Thursday cannot come soon enough, William. I'm jazzed about what I saw. The Camper Report wants to do a show. Let's do it, Ben. Put it on the books. NorCal Refrigeration. Is this a prediction? Mostert to Miami? I hope not. Godzilla at Rob Shoe. Chances that Jimmy restructures his contract with the Niners, I would say 2% chance. With the next team, 98% chance. I do believe he will restructure that contract with his new team. I think that's the only way in which a deal gets done for Jimmy Garoppolo. Got a couple of other super chats that I missed as well. My apologies. Steve Avia coming in. What do you think of Chris Olave? He's my favorite wide receiver. He absolutely was dynamic there at the Combine. I have a hard time believing that he is not off the board real quickly. I mean, he could maybe be the first one off the board after what he did at the Combine there. And he was very impressive. Pete coming in. Seahawks fans will be crying for a long time. I'd be upset too if you took my frickin' franchise quarterback and sent him on his way, the way in which the Seattle Seahawks did. Oh, man. Ooh, I sure hope that they are successful in who they bring in to replace him, because otherwise the fan base is going to be upset. All right, let me get to that last previously submitted question, and then I will be back over to finish on your comments. Again, hit the @Rob or @RobShoe. Type that in before your question. All right, a little bit more about some prospects. Which under-the-radar prospects jumped out to you during the combine? More specifically, cornerback, defensive end, and offensive line coming in from Leonel Lopez. All right, so a couple in the defensive back category. I still like Jalen Petrie. I know that that's not an under-the-radar prospect, but I think Jalen Petrie at safety is a possibility for the Niners at 61. So that's the criteria I used for this question was, would they be available at 61? If we go safety, I would love Jalen Petrie at 61. He looked so fluid in dynamic in those drills. It was great to watch him on the field. No doubt about it. The other one that I think we have a great chance of getting is Marcus Jones out of Houston. Could be an option. Best kick returner in college. He's a high-speed slot. It is a great value for slot corner, potential to play outside. He may fall a little bit because he just had surgery on one shoulder a couple of weeks ago. Then he did the other shoulder, but they seemed like just maintenance surgery, so you could see that falling. He didn't do any of the drills. But super intelligent. Loved my interview with him. Really, really enjoyed him. Again, didn't do the drills because of the shoulder surgeries, but was an elite return man and could fill the need at cornerback. Man, I'm going to have Marcus Jones on every single one of my mock drafts going forward. No doubt about it. Marcus Jones out of Houston. Book it. Defensive end. Boye Mafe looks like he's going to get drafted before the Niners pick at 61. Probably going to be gone. So I turned my sights on to Nick Bonito out of Oklahoma or Myjai Sanders. Myjai was interesting, extremely undersized and sensitive about it. Someone asked him a question about his weight and how he was lighter, and he was like, "What do you mean by lighter? What do you mean?" It was uncomfortable. It was like an uncomfortable not confrontation, but sort of a confrontation, right? And I don't mean this to disparage Mr. Sanders. He was very cordial for the most part, but was a little sensitive on that question, and then measured in at under 230 pounds. And so, yes, you are very light for the position. So that one's interesting to me. Undersized, I would think he may fall. So that may actually bode well for the 49ers. Bonito, 6'3", 248. So he was a little heavy, and people became concerned that he wouldn't do so well in the drills, but he did. 4.54 40-yard time, 35.5 vertical jump, 120-inch broad jump. I like Bonito, and I may have my eye on him in a lot of mocks as well. And then O-line, I already mentioned Cole Strange, but Donovan West out of ASU as a center could be a great pickup for the 49ers in that day 3 range. And then Spencer Burford out of UTSA. I was really impressed in the interview. Again, I got to go back through all the footage that I have, but Burford was someone that I watched in the drills after being impressed in the interview presser session. So I've got my eye on all of those, and I'm going to continue to compile my lists as I go back through my footage that I took this week. It's going to take me a long time to go back through and get everything collated, so to speak. All right, getting back into this. Hold on just one second. I will be right back. Don't go in. All right. Had to take care of business, but here we are. All right, getting back into your comments here. Charles Thurman, here we go. @Rob, what do you think of Jimmy G's agent? I think they're trying to put the screw to the 49ers. It was weird to me that John Lynch was caught off guard by the fact that Jimmy was having surgery. That was strange to me. No doubt about it. Richard, David, @Rob, Prince Mason makes a good point. Schneider made his name off picks from 2010, 11, 12 that helped win a Super Bowl and go to another. Since then, name another standout pick, not named DK Metcalf. I'm telling you, give them all the picks that you want. They got to pick the right people. Tom Jensen, @Rob, Niners asked Strange to take center snaps at Mobile. I'm in love with Strange right now. Maybe at 93. Who do you take at 61 if Mafe, Ebiketie. I struggled with his name all freaking week. Ebiketie, Bonito, and Petrie. Oh, man, if they're all gone, who am I taking? That's tough. If all four of those are gone, my goodness. In that scenario, I mean, I have to ask, but in that scenario, is Christian Watson gone? Because if Watson is still there, which according to Dane Brugler, as he did his more recent draft, he was still on the board. If those four are off the board, then I would go with Christian Watson in that scenario. All right, Dr. Jaspreet coming in at Rob Shu. Who's the best cornerback safety we can get in the draft, realistically, without trades? I think Jalen Petrie is a distinct possibility for the 49ers at 61, and he would be my top pick. This is an interesting one. Callie, sorry. Rob, I really like Leon O'Neal Jr., the safety from Texas A&M. How did he look in person at the Combine? So he was great at the interview, really charismatic, just had a great energy about him. Seemed like he would be a very dynamic locker room guy. He looked a little stiff in the drills. It looked like he had, kind of tight hips. Wasn't moving as fluidly. He was right next to Jalen Petrie. Like it would be O'Neal would go first, and then Petrie would be right after him in all the drills. And so it was this contrast of super fluid with Jalen Petrie and a little bit tight with Leon O'Neal. So I think it was that contrast that led me to be less impressed with Leon. But after the presser, I had my eye on him because I was very impressed by his energy and the fact that he's probably a great locker room guy. Raphael 562 Niners at Rob. At what round will the Niners draft a running back? Also, any running back that caught your eye? No, the one running back I really had my eyes on didn't run any of the drills. So to me, this is the Niners need to sit on this one. 6th round, 7th round, maybe undrafted free agent. There are a lot of needs for the Niners beyond running back in my book. Dr. Jaspreet at Rob Shu. I'm kind of worried about the O-line. Are you? Yes. With the simple fact that 3 of the 5 positions are unknown at this point, unsettled, and hearing the rumor that the 49ers are skeptical about Mike McGlinchey being ready for the start of the season. That was a rumor that I heard, a very viable source that said the Niners are exploring tackle options because they do not believe Mike McGlinchey will be fully healthy by that time. I'm telling you, that's worrisome for me. No doubt about it. Yes, offensive line must be a priority for the 49ers. Ramon Lozano is the newest sneakerhead here on the channel. Ramon, welcome to the channel. I love the fact that we got folks joining up to support the channel. All right, I'm trying to catch up in the comments, so forgive me if I do miss your comment at all. And if I do miss it, feel free to put it back in. Here we go. Luke Walsh at Rob Shu. Ribeye steaks are the food of the gods. Yes, they are. And it was a phenomenal ribeye at St. Elmo. Highly recommend St. Elmo if you are ever in the frickin' Indy area. Ellis 10 at Rob Shu. 2-part question. In your opinion, how long until Jimmy G gets traded away? I say within the next 6 days. Within the next 6 days. Also, now that, it won't be official, but we will hear the terms prior to March 14th. How long until, I already did that one. Also, now that the quarterback selection has shrunk, what do you think Jimmy G goes for? I'm sticking with my gut, 2nd and a 4th. That's the gut. All right, Darren Worthington at Rob. What do you think about just trading picks with a team for Jimmy Garoppolo? So you mean swapping picks? I would be fine with that. Get creative. Get the man off the books and get something in return. I am telling you, that's the priority. V Breezy at Rob Shu. Jimmy's surgery just added another big factor on why teams shouldn't trade for him. Feel like he'll most likely be released. Thoughts? I disagree. I think that it's the type of surgery that most teams will be confident he'll recover from. I do think that the timing of it is suspect. I was surprised that John Lynch did not know that it was going to happen, that he was caught off guard, and that came through in his interview with Peter Schrager. I think that he will be traded and not released. I think the Niners would get a little creative if they needed to release him. I do think they would explore, can we extend him out to make his contract a bit more viable for us and for other teams? I don't think they would, but I think he gets traded. That's my gut. Prince at Rob Shoe. Seattle can trade for Jimmy. They can. I don't think they will. Jan, Seattle trading all those picks to the Bucs for Brady, just messing. That would be funny. That would be funny. Niners Twitter would lose their minds. I am at Rob. What are your thoughts on the news that the 49ers have legit interest in JC Jackson? Can it happen? I think it can happen. I do think that this is just noise at this point. I can't imagine, other than kicking the tires, the Niners just do not have $20 million to pay to a cornerback. I could see them bringing in the other ex-New England cornerback, but I'm just not sold on them being legit in the running for J.C. Jackson. To me, it strikes more as a way to get good clicks for the national guys. Kirk Shields at Rob, what do you think about TB12? To me, at this point, until he officially says he wants to play, I'm just ignoring it, because you would need him to get into camp early. You would want him to be on your team to attract free agents. The more time that passes, the less I believe Tom Brady plays this year. Jan, at Rob, we didn't think Russ was going anywhere either. No, we did not. All right, Dr. Jaspreet coming in at Rob Shoe. What coach signing by the Niners this offseason are you most disappointed, worried about? Got to be Brian Griese. Not disappointed, worried. I'm just not sure what it means. Aluxi coming in at Rob Shoe. How do you feel about Juju? I'm a little bit indifferent. I just don't know that he's a phenomenal scheme fit for the 49ers. I think he's a talent. I would be thrilled to bring in talent this year. I wouldn't want to overpay for him. I would rather that the 49ers focus on bringing back some of their own free agents at other positions. I think the 49ers could fill out that wide receiver room through the draft. I wouldn't be disappointed if they brought in Juju, though. Manny 1661 sneakerhead here on the channel at Rob Shoe. Do you think we're bringing Mostert back? God, I hope so. He's such a perfect fit for that man. Pete Gorman, you got to be messing with me. I think he's messing with us here. I think we're being messed with, but I like it. Pete's predicting that breaking news. Adam Schefter just tweeted Jimmy G has been traded to Washington for a second and a fourth round pick. That would be where I think he may go. I think Pittsburgh, Washington, Carolina could be another. What was the other one that I had thrown in there just a moment ago? Anyway, I do think that that's a potential landing spot. I'll be surprised if we see anything come out today. Steve Avia at Rob, do you think there's a possibility Seattle might try to steal Jimmy from us via trade? They have picks. We need picks. Would hate to see it personally. I do not. I think they are very well aware of Jimmy's limitations. Mav coming in at Rob. Keep doing great work. Would love to collab. YouTube, Red and Gold 24/7. Mav, reach out. 49ers mailbag at gmail.com. I'd be happy to collaborate. All right. Pugene1 at Rob Shoe. What are your opinions on the Buffalo Bills? I met a phenomenal freaking beat reporter for the Buffalo Bills. Mookie, if you're watching, Mookie was a dude. Mookie was phenomenal. I'm a bigger fan of the Buffalo Bills because I met Mookie. I will be watching his content. I would say that I think the Buffalo Bills are one of the best teams in the AFC. I'll be surprised if they're not in it at the end, competing with the Chiefs and now potentially the freaking Denver Broncos. I'm telling you, AFC is stacked at quarterback. Dr. Jaspreet coming in. Jalen Petrie is the best safety. I feel like he could be gone. Hard hitter. I think he could be gone as well in various mock drafts. Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. My true hope is that the Niners get a second rounder in this year's draft, because for all the players that I want, we need it. In order to get Christian Watson and Jalen Petrie, we need to have 2 second rounders, and that's what I freaking want. Losa Way 973 at Rob. What did you think of the kid Sauce, the cornerback from Cincy, I believe? I was expecting to be blown away by him, and he was good, but I wasn't blown away. He had a couple of dropped potential picks in the DB drills. He did look fluid. Like, I didn't get a Jalen Ramsey vibe off of him, but he was, a solid dude in the presser, did what was expected of him in the drills, ran a great 40 time. So I thought that he lived up to expectations, and I think that he will go where expected, but I'm not giving up the farm to go get a chance to draft him. Rob Smith, sneakerhead here on the channel, at Rob Shoe. Your thoughts on the 49ers' new special teams coach, Schneider? I want to dig in more as to his sudden departure for personal reasons from both Seattle and Jacksonville. That's intriguing to me. Seems like a quality special teams coach, a long track record with Seattle. That seems phenomenal. But this whole like leaving on a whim thing, it reminds me of McLuhan, right? Scott McLuhan. And for him, not to break anyone's anonymity, but for him, it was dealing with addiction, alcoholism issues. And so that's what first came to mind for me in this particular instance. I'm not putting that out there. I've not heard that from anyone. That was just, I started to ask myself, is that what we're looking at here as well? G-Bone, Patron, at Rob. I refuse to eat deep dish pizza until we make it to a Super Bowl. No promises, though. Still positive vibes. G-Bone, I could not give up deep dish pizza until that happens, but I respect it. I respect it. Jan, get some Cole Strange. Yes, I'm telling you. Matthew Mears, this is cold. Just got done trolling the hell out of the Hawks Nest. My first time trolling another team's podcast. Can't lie. It felt really good. I'm telling you. I couldn't, but I don't blame you for doing it. I don't blame you. All right, Dr. Jaspreet, at Rob Shoe, best pass rusher we can draft to replace D Ford. I do think that there are a couple in there that could potentially assist. I definitely think that Boye Mafe would be one to keep your eye on, but it's looking more and more like he would be gone. Excuse me. I did enjoy, again, Nick Bonino. Myjai Sanders, again, just seemed too small in that regard. I also think you have to consider that the 49ers potentially have the depth that they need for rotation at that other spot with Charles Omenihu, Samson Ebukam, and Jordan Willis if they re-sign him. If they have all three of those players still on the roster, I'm not going to feel so bad if we don't bring in someone to legit compete for that bookend spot. San Francisco 49ers, at Rob Shoe. Bro, glad I made it in time. How are you? I'm fantastic. I am freshly back from the combine. It was a great event, great food, great to meet Jason Aponte, Jordan Elliott, and Brad from the SF Niners. I mean, just solid dudes. I can't say enough about how much I enjoyed spending time with those guys in Indy. That Niner guy, sneakerhead here on the channel, at Rob Shoe. I honestly think now they are going to go big on J.C. Jackson. If they do the restructures, Ward and company, and trade Jimmy, they can sign him big. Kyle wants a man guy. J.C. can match up Cup. That would be huge, that Niner guy. I would totally be on board with that. My question would be, how many Niner players would they have to give up on their own free agents if they did that? Because that's a $20 million check they're cutting. San Francisco 49ers, at Rob Shoe. Am I wrong, or did the Seahawks get screwed on the trade? By the way, that was their downfall. Wilson was the main reason they ever had a chance. I think it's much more neutral. I had someone earlier say Seattle won the hell out of that trade. You know, your opinion here, didn't Seattle get fleeced in that one? To me, it was a reasonable market for Wilson. He wanted out. At some point, the Seahawks would have lost some leverage. 2 1s, 2 seconds, a borderline first-round talent in a player, a backup level quarterback, another mid-round talent as a player. To me, it was a pretty good deal that Seattle got, but I definitely wouldn't declare them winners, nor would I necessarily say they lost it. I'm not inspired one way or the other. Ramon coming in, at Rob, already a member to Grant and Jesse, so it's only right I become a member here as well. Keep up the great work, Rob. Hey, I'm just telling you, the Sneakerhead membership is where it's at. Much better than anything Grant or Jesse may offer. No, I'm kidding. I love both those dudes. Absolutely. Bullpup 33, at Rob, who did you see in person who you think is a little overrated? Interesting question. Who did I think was overrated? Man, let me look back. This is a good question, and I don't want to blow it off. So I'm going to look back at some of my combine targets and then see which ones didn't jump out to me. Here we go. All right. It's interesting. I was watching, this may have been a little confirmation bias, but I was watching Marcus Emerson out of Mississippi State, 6'2", 200-pound defensive back. And he seemed to be mentioned as someone the Niners would have their eyes on. I saw it come up in a couple of places. I also had someone reach out that didn't have a wildly high opinion of him. Maybe that colored my impression, but I just wasn't terribly impressed there. And so I wouldn't be thrilled with a Marcus Emerson selection. Not that there was anything horribly wrong with any of the drills or anything like that. I just didn't see anything there that brought me in, that really brought me in to say, all right, that's another defensive back I want. All right, F. Monte Jano 87. What up, Rob? Fernando from Fremont. Are the Niners going to franchise anyone this year? No, that came out. Franchise tags came out today. 8 people around the league got franchised. Niners haven't franchised anyone since Robbie Gould. Franchising a kicker. GD5 at Rob. Just listened to the show on my way home. Glad you also like my guy, Marcus Jones. He's a mid-round steal. Marcus Jones, I am locked in on Marcus Jones, GD5. I talked to that dude. I could not have been more impressed with him. I was vibing with him. Vibing. Let me tell you. Ramon doing the good work. He's a sneakerhead, and now he's calling for it. 315 folks watching right now. Smash that like button. Hit that like button for me. Blow it up if you can. Blow it up. Tama Kengi coming in at Rob. What are the chances of the 49ers trading into the first round, and who do you like as a pick in the first if they do? I've not done a lot of first round analysis because the Niners don't really have the ammunition to get up there as I see it right now. If they trade Jimmy and get a second rounder, I will start looking into the first round because I think you could then package a second and a third, the 2 seconds together. To me, right now, I think it is highly unlikely that the 49ers trade up into the first round with what they have. All right, Kevin, at Rob Shue, can you give a shout out to all the Niner fans in Scotland? I'm in Glasgow and a fan of your show now through Cone. It's like 2 a.m. here. We stand with Ukraine. Hey, first and foremost, yes, we do stand with Ukraine. I don't want to make any inflammatory comments or anything that could be interpreted as such. But yes, I mean, it's tough to watch what's going on in the world right now. There's as someone who feels a lot of empathy for other human beings, it's tough to watch the suffering that happens in events like what's going on in Ukraine right now with what Russia is doing. But on a positive note, shifting away from that, which in and of itself was a positive to put it out there as standing with Ukraine. Kevin, shout out to everyone watching in Scotland, to those hardcore that are on right now at 2 a.m. I love it. I hope that you're having a blast in Glasgow. If I ever make it out there, I hope that you'll tell me exactly where I should be eating, where all of the dope restaurants are, because I'm a food guy. Don't let the skinny body fool you. This dude can get down on some food. Shout out to the friends and fans in Scotland. Cheers to all of you. I like the Stephon Gilmore link. Stivers 209 football coming in. Can Stephon Gilmore join the Niners defense? And Tyler Matthews, I think we're talking Tyrann Mathieu, the safety, joined the defense in 2022 for 3 years, $300 million. 3 years, $300 million. 3 years, $300 million. What are we talking about there? I'm guessing that must have been some sort of a joke in reference to another one. We shall see. Elijah McClure. Hey, I respect a fan of a fellow fan base. At Rob, the Hawks will draft a quarterback first round. Go Hawks. Elijah, first of all, I'm a little upset that you got me to say go Hawks right there. A little upset about that. But like I said, I got to give credit to another fan base. I hope you guys go the rookie quarterback route because I would rather that you guys be out of it for a few years. That's my honest hope. I don't want you to get a quarterback who can be good right away. Philip coming in at Rob Shue. I appreciate your literacy. Most analysts can't tell an adjective from an adverb, i.e. good from well. Good show. Well done. Thank you, Philip. Much appreciated. I don't know if I come across more intelligent than I actually am because I don't think of myself as being all that intelligent, but I do pride myself on being reasonably well-spoken. So I'm glad you noticed it. Thank you, Philip. Looking for those at Rob Shue, Dr. Jaspreet coming in at Rob Shue. Can these guys make a difference next year? Lenore, Kinlaw, Banks, Moore, Sermon. Yes, absolutely. Lenore, I don't think he'll get an actual shot to be the starting nickel, but you could see him as the primary backup. And injuries such as they are, he could absolutely get a chance. Kinlaw may be, I mean, as much as I hate to say it, the Niners may not bring back this man right here. And if they don't bring back DJ Jones, Kinlaw is going to be a critical component for the San Francisco 49ers. The same is true of Laken Tomlinson. If you do not bring back Laken, you're looking at a scenario where Banks is probably slotted in to start at one of those guard spots. Moore, I don't think so. I would guess that you're looking at a backup tackle, maybe the swing tackle, but I would think probably the Niners try to bring back Tom Compton as a swing tackle, and then Moore just becomes depth. And then Trey Sermon. I am slightly less optimistic after what Maurice Jones-Drew had to say about Trey Sermon. Not going to lie, that was not pretty. But I do think he was drafted with this idea of pairing nicely with Trey Lance. So I'm not ready to count Sermon out yet. But of those that should get the biggest opportunity, he's the one I may be most skeptical about. Moses Martinez at Rob Shue. Guess who's back? Had time to grieve my family member passing. Now I'm back. Moses, I'm sorry to hear that. I offer my condolences to you. I hope that you had time to grieve. I hope that process brought you some comfort, and I'm sorry for your loss. I'm glad that you're back, and I look forward to you continuing to contribute in the chat as you always do. I appreciate you, Moses. Stivers 209. Hey, Rob, can Jimmy Garoppolo get traded for Stephon Gilmore? Stephon Gilmore is a free agent, so no. It would have to be like a sign and trade. That would be a little bit off. Alan coming in at Rob Shue. Hello. How's it going? It's going good. It's going good. It's going well. Moses at Rob Shue. I've talked to customer who I'm Seattle. Didn't quite understand that one, Moses, but I'm sure. Oh, here we go. I've talked to customers who live in Seattle. They're upset and want Pete Carroll fired. I don't blame them. I do not blame them. Ooh, LeBlue 49. Look at you putting me. Oh, this is tough. If by chance both Christian Watson and Jalen Petrie are still available when we pick round 2, who do you snatch? Oh. So in this scenario, here's my assumption. My assumption is that we still only have 3 wide receivers, that we've brought back Jawan Jennings, but that's it. We have Jawan Jennings and Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. My other assumption is that we do not bring back Jaquiski Tart. If those things are true, I'm going Jalen Petrie in this. And I know that's probably not the popular answer here, but I have greater faith in our skill positions on the offensive side as opposed to players who have the ability to force turnovers on the defensive side. And Jalen Petrie, I just felt something about him in watching him there at the Combine. That's where I would go. Brandon Vincent at Rob, loved your coverage from the Combine. Who would you say is your dream free agent signing? Mine are all boring. They are all Niners players. If I had to add one that was not a Niner, I would say Stephon Gilmore. But I'm less on Stephon Gilmore right now because now I'm higher on Marcus Jones, and I want him to start at nickel. So to me, this is tough, man. So many dominoes that have to fall. Steve Avio at Rob, you're the man, brother. Honestly, in my opinion, the best 49ers content creator on YouTube. When you make it big, don't forget about us sneakerheads. I would never forget about the sneakerheads, Steve. I won't forget about anybody who supported this channel early on. I can't tell you what it meant in the early days where videos got 10 views, 20 views. You know, be lucky to have 5 people watching. Got 316 people watching live right now after I've already been on for an hour and 20 minutes. Got sneakerheads for days, man. I am freaking stoked with the amount of support, and I can't say anything but thank you for that. All right, Alan coming in at Rob Shue. Thank goodness Russell Wilson is out of the NFC as a whole. Amen to that. Mr. Amazing coming in at Rob. First time watcher. Really appreciate your content. Keep up the cool work. Hey, I appreciate that. Consider hitting that like button. Hit that subscribe button on your way out, Mr. Amazing. All right. Michael A. Montez at Rob. Thoughts on Dante Jackson, Panthers, and Rasul Douglas. I like. I'm not as familiar with Dante Jackson. I would be okay with a mid-round signing of Rasul Douglas. The other one to keep your eye on is the dude who was with the Raiders. Oh, man, the name is escaping me right now. Another mid-level cornerback. I expect the Niners to sign some mid-level cornerbacks, not the high-end ones. Kevin at Rob Shue. Who do you think was underrated? Strange. Strange was underrated, and I want him. I want Strange. That sounded weird. That sounded very weird, but kind of correct as well. Dr. Jaspreet coming in at Rob Shue. Signed Teron Armstead. He's a great pass blocker at tackle. Carlton Davis is a nice cornerback who may be affordable too. Brandon Scherf at guard. Only 11 quarterback hits since he got drafted 7 years ago. I love that list, but I feel like those are all reasonably expensive free agents, and that would take away from the Niners' ability to re-sign their own. Devontae, I have not heard anything about this, but interesting to throw it out there. I heard San Francisco trying to sign Henry Ruggs III. My guess is no with that drunk driving incident in Las Vegas, but I wouldn't put it past a team to bring him back in. Kevin saying, say it like Glasgow. 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 That's Scottish for ye. You? Ye? I'll go with it. Glasgow. Art the Collector at Rob. Know anything about the guard, Keaton Sutherland, who the Niners signed? Backup for the Bengals. And you know how bad the Bengals offensive line was. So not all that hopeful there. Dr. Jaspreet coming in again at Rob Shue. Signed Jadeveon Clowney, even though he has been iffy the last few years. I've always thought Chris Kosarick can get the most out of him. Look at what he has done with Willis Key Hurst. I am all for bringing in the cast-offs for Chris Kosarick. Bring them in because that man is phenomenal at getting the most out of people. Andrew Hoax, do you like Velus Jones Jr. as a returner? He also seems to play a lot like Debo. I do like him. I listed him as one of my 5 favorites on the offensive side for the 49ers. I absolutely do enjoy what he brought to the table. Jason Els at Rob. Did you hear that Seattle just informed Wagner they're releasing him? I did not, but it doesn't surprise me. Rebuild. I agree with Jan here. Seattle looking more like a rebuild. Fable pointing out that Jones Drew is a Niner hater, though. I didn't know that. If that's true, it would color his opinion. Felipe at Rob. I'm worried Shanny won't play the rookies again, even though they may be the better players than their older starters. He does like to make sure that they have proven themselves, but man, I would think that the better player will play. That's my hope. Fingers crossed. Luke Walsh also pointing out that Bobby Wagner getting released. Philippe coming in with the donation. Philip, thank you. I don't know why I went Philippe. If it is Philippe, I think because of the last name. Philippe, let me know which one. I am now torn about which way to say it. Felipe at Rob. And what did M. Jones Jr. say about Trey Sermon? That he's trash. Yeah, he actually used that term. He said anyone can run through holes that a freaking semi-truck can drive through because that's what he was doing in college. And then he gets to the NFL and now he's trying to slide through these creases and it's just not the same. He doesn't have that burst. And he went on for a little bit. It was not positive. Not positive at all. B-E-Z. At Rob Shue, would signing Cordarrelle Patterson and Stephon Gilmore make us unstoppable on both sides of the ball? I would love both of those as long as they're more value signings for the 49ers. I like both of those players, though, as potential free agents for the 49ers. I am at Rob. If not Jalen Petrie, I really like Verone McKinley from Oregon. Do you have any thoughts on him? I don't, but I'll go back and look to see if I got any tape or took any notes on the drills. Raphael 562 Niners with the super chat, and he's a sneakerhead. Great show, Rob. Keep up the great content. I appreciate you, Raphael. Appreciate you a lot. Look at that. Got to get it in focus. People are really excited about the Bobby Wagner news. That is flooding the comments, folks. Oh, yes, this is the name I was trying to remember. Casey Hayward. That is a cornerback. Keep your eye on the San Francisco 49ers potentially bringing in Casey Hayward. I heard a rumor about that one. Alan, at Rob, I really enjoy your knowledgeable content. I'm going to become a sneakerhead in the near future. Alan, I would love that. I love all the support. I love it if you just subscribe. I love it if you just watch. I love it if you just like the video. Thank you, though, Alan. Really appreciate that. Lester San Jose. Howdy from Portland. What's your take on resettling the quarterback market? Thanks to the recent contracts, Jimmy's $25 million is a bargain. How much higher can he demand? Lester, if you're here in Portland, hit me up at 49ers mailbag at gmail.com. I think that Jimmy will get restructured once he actually freaking gets a new team. So I think he will get less per year. I don't think he gets more. E. Kim, Rob, how was the food in Indy? Dude, it was phenomenal. St. Elmo was just as described. Absolutely delicious. Hands down, phenomenal. Had some great fried chicken while I was in town at the Eagle. Had some great seafood. It was great. And just kudos to the NFL for providing breakfast and lunch for all of us in the media room. I was pretty blown away with the way in which they took care of the media. Really was impressed by that. Colin coming in at Rob Shoot. Thanks for the great off-season content. I have family up in Portland. I owe you a beer to cheers you to Russell out of the NFC West next time I'm up there. Colin, I look forward to it. Reach out. 49ers mailbag at gmail.com. Our Mob Nation, been a little bit. Our Mob Nation coming in at Rob Shoe. Any chance we move up in the draft to snag Christian Watson? I do think there's the potential for the 49ers to move up in the draft. I don't think they go up terribly far, but Christian Watson may just be an early or mid second round pick. So I think that could be a potential target. My guess would be they'd move up for a safety or an edge rusher before they would move up for Christian Watson, though. E. Kim, at Rob, the NFL is a business, and seeing players getting cut and traded is all part of how the sausage gets made. That is true. No doubt about that. What do I think of Tariq Woolen? If that's the player I'm thinking of, I think he's fast. Very fast. Kevin, at Rob Shoe, we write ye as in yay. Imagine the janitor from The Simpsons saying it. I gotcha. Glad you gave a shout out to Glasgow, Made by Night. What is a sneakerhead? A sneakerhead is a member of the channel. So after you hit subscribe, there's a little join button where you can join the channel. And like Randy Riley here, you see the little icon next to Randy Riley's name. That means Randall is a sneakerhead. E. Kim in the house, Randall says. Yes. So you just join up, hit the join button, and you'll have some options on how you become a sneakerhead. It's difficult to do unless you're on a web browser or an Android. I think it's the iPhone that gives people some freaking trouble. All right, last couple comments before we wrap this thing. Dr. Jaspreet coming in at Rob Shoe. What will we do at kicker? We're going to stick with Robbie and just wait till he wants to retire. P.S. This is my first show I've watched. Saw you on the Cone show a few days ago. Great work, bro. Hey, doctor, I am glad you are in here, and I appreciate all of the interaction. I think that we stick with Robbie Gould through next season. As long as the 49ers believe they are a playoff contender, they'll keep Robbie Gould. When they let Robbie go, it signifies they no longer believe they are Super Bowl bound. Felipe, at Rob, people are saying we're interested in J.C. Jackson. I don't know, man. I'd rather go Reed or Gilmore. I would rather spend that money elsewhere to bring in our own players and a player like DJ Reed or Stephon Gilmore. I tend to agree with you there. But I'm not going to complain if you bring in a shutdown frickin' corner. No doubt. Bo Shaka 02 at Rob Shoe. I've been waiting for Russell Wilson to get out of our division for a while. It has finally happened. It is over. Randall, Riley, Robbie Gould is clutch. Need to keep him. The man has not missed a kick in the playoffs. Cheers to Robbie Solid Gold. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our show today. Thank you for coming in. As always, if you want to submit a mailbag question for the next show, if you want to be one of the previously submitted questions, send it to me at 49ersmailbag@gmail.com. I will be on tomorrow at 5 p.m. for Between Two Beards. Very excited to be back home, doing the content, getting back through. Look for my channel and on Twitter. There will be videos of the interviews and stuff that I recorded while in Indianapolis filtering out over the next week. Look for that new content. As always, appreciate the interaction. If you were here in the chat today, thank you. Please consider hitting the like button on your way out. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I would say, why not? Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and turn on your YouTube notifications. Again, I will be back 5 p.m. tomorrow on the channel. Until then, cheers, Niner faithful.